What's good? Halfblind back with another video, and you might be wondering, why do I have College Football Dynasty up when I'm talking about rankings and have it in the title? That's because we have some huge news coming July 2nd. You can even sit and wait on it if you want to on the YouTube channel. For college football, there's going to be a Dynasty reveal, and I've heard that it is massive. I've heard that the blog is going to be extremely long. The reason why I'm talking about that here is because I'm going to make a video on that as well. So if you want to check it out, make sure you come back to this channel and see it, because I'm going to go through all of the blog. It may be a long video because I've heard that blog is long, but I know you guys aren't here to talk about this Dynasty. You're checking it out to see what the rankings are coming into College Football 25. So let's jump into that. The goal of this discussion is going to be just what you guys think of the rankings. Let me know in the comments, especially if you've got a team that you want to see higher or lower, or if you just think somebody just got completely screwed over. Let me know, because I want to have that discussion, because honestly, there's some teams I think got ranked a little too low, and there's some teams that I think got ranked a little too high. So I really want to know what you guys think. Hit me up in the comments on that one. In this section, we have places to play, and I'm not going to lie, I did not expect A&M to get #1 in toughest places to play. I just didn't think they were going to be that high on the list. No offense to Texas A&M. I mean, they are a huge tradition-based school, as everybody on this list really is, but I didn't expect Texas A&M to be one. But, I mean, they do have good crowds, but really the surprise to me on this list was Michigan not being in the top 10. I was surprised Nebraska didn't make the list at all. I was kind of surprised at really the middle of the rankings in general. I felt like they should be closer to top 10. But honestly, there's a lot of give and take on these. I'm surprised Auburn's not a little higher on the list. Same with Clemson and Tennessee. I'm surprised they're not higher up on the list. I know people are going to hate me for saying this. I do think Oklahoma might be a little overrated. Just in their, like, they play good at home, sure. And that was figured into all of this, but I think they might be a little high on the list just because of the fact that I just don't. Yeah, they've got the Sooner Schooner and all that stuff, but when it comes to, actual tough places to play, I don't know. I would maybe rank them a little bit lower on the list and move some of those other ones right behind them up. And then another one that surprised me that we didn't see at all on the list, I don't think they should have been high, but not seeing Nebraska was kind of surprising, because they usually sell out their stadium and have some pretty good traditions there. So I felt like, when Nebraska's rolling, they have a pretty good home field advantage. My only guess is that the reason why they didn't get put on here is because they haven't been having so many good seasons lately, obviously. And so maybe they have them down because of that. And this is supposed to be fluid. They're supposed to be changing these rankings throughout the year. So I imagine if Nebraska goes on a roll, starts out the season 6-0, maybe they become one of the tougher places to play. Would you look at that? My Jayhawks made the top 14 in top offenses, but I'm sure you didn't come here to hear about my Jayhawks. You wanted to see #1, which is Georgia. Now, something I've seen a lot of argument online, though, is missing from this list is Michigan. I do not see Michigan on that list, and I know they're not an offensive juggernaut, but they're also the defending champions, and also there's people have been saying they lost a lot of their guys to the NFL. They lost their coach. But still, I mean, I feel like Michigan should have been at least a little higher on the list, so a little disrespect shown to the defending champions. Same with toughest places to play, I think, and I'm going to let my biases show here, obviously. Missouri's ranked too high. Kansas should be higher than Missouri. That's just my opinion, but hey, you know what? It's my channel. I'm going to be damn biased if I want to. Finally have on the defenses a little bit of love being shown to Michigan up at 7th. I think a lot of people are probably still going to think that's a little too low. But honestly, one of the ones that was surprising to me on here, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the Oklahoma guys because they left. That's not what it's about. I think they should have flipped it, because honestly, Oklahoma has never really had that great of a defense. Even if they have a really good recruiting class, I feel like they need to prove that they have a good defense. But their offense was underrated on the previous list. So to me, I think Oklahoma should have flipped around and had a higher rating at offense than they did on defense. They were a little better last year, though. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm crazy, but I do feel like their offense has always kind of been the staple, and then their defense has been a little behind. This has it ranked where it's more of a defensive team. And maybe they got the recruits to be defensive. Maybe that's where they're looking. But to me, I think Oklahoma's flipped. But I didn't hear as many complaints about the defensive side of the ball in the rankings, so let me know what you guys think, if you guys see anything out of place. And now we have the overall top 25 power rankings, and honestly I have less complaints with this than I have with a lot of the other ones. I do think Michigan should have gotten a little bit more respect. I talked about that earlier, and both those two rankings of offensive defense being lower for Michigan, I think that made it to where they're lower here in the power rankings than they probably should have been. And then on top of that, everything else looks pretty good, but there's some teams that I think need to prove themselves and show that they can do well. Honestly, Oklahoma and Texas, I talked about them a lot. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the SEC. So I really think that's going to affect their power rankings one way or another. First year being in the SEC, they're either going to come out swinging or they're going to come out flat, and that's going to be pretty interesting to see. I don't really see much of a middle ground. But to me, the power rankings were not too bad overall, minus just a few little things. Again, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know if you think there's somebody overrated, underrated. Think Alabama's too high with the fact that Saban's not there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And next, we're going to jump into sights and sounds, which unfortunately on this video is going to be just sights because, well, I think from what I've heard from some guys like Gut Fox, seeing it on their tweets, I think there might be some copyright issues if I were to play the audio of it. So I'll try to talk through it while it plays and you guys can see the video in the background, but you're not going to be able to see Kirk Herbstreit describe it. I will link to the actual blog and video if you guys want to go read that part, but I'll talk through what we're seeing. And here we go. We got Kirk Herbstreit talking through this. Now again, I know you can't hear it, but go out and check it out in the description if you guys want to watch the full thing. I'll kind of summarize what they're talking about here, and obviously if you want to go get the sound, you're going to have to go there. But they're going over basically the presentation and how much detail that they put into each one of these teams. As you've seen here, all of the stadium intros and things like that look a lot more unique. That right there is a specific call to that team, which honestly they're a smaller school, and so with that, it's, you know, a lot of people might not have thought their schools were going to have specific calls if they're smaller schools, but they're trying to show that they've done that attention to detail. They've shown with the mocaps, we've seen this a lot, that they have a lot of specific things like how they do the band. You see Georgia Tech, you see the turf there, you see the belt for North Carolina. So a lot of specific things, a lot of the mascots as well. They've spent a lot of attention to detail. They mocapped a lot of things like chopping down the with the axe for Wisconsin as part of that rivalry. You got the signs that everybody's hitting. And there's even like Uga, which that I know that wasn't Uga, but Uga's, I actually don't know the name of the Tennessee mascot, so don't hate me for that, Tennessee fans, but Uga I do know, and they put Uga in the game. They put a lot of attention to details and mascots in general, and that's not super easy, honestly, to make an animal move like that. They got the two-sided bass drum, they've got the rivalry trophies, they've got different teams calling each game in terms of, like, there's two different crews. They have the atmospheres and the fact that they're going to make it, you know, harder to play at away games, especially at that list that we just looked at, the most difficult places to play. Playing at Penn State is tough on the list, really high up on the list, and they put a lot of, as you can see here, they put a lot of work making the crowd noise really big and getting ESPN audio from even back to 2022 that they put into the game. So they tried to put real audio. If you've been to some of these games that they were recording at, you might be in the game yourself. And so really this whole video is showing their attention to detail with the game, and I do honestly think they put a lot of attention to detail in these environments to make it very authentic. And there's your broadcast commentary. There's multiple teams. You're gonna have guys like Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit doing the big games. There's just going to be different teams for each scenario, which is going to be amazing for Dynasty, which, yes, is coming out next week. The news is coming out next week, so we're going to hear more there. But it sounds like if you're playing a big game, you're going to get the big broadcast crew. If you're playing smaller games, you're going to get a different crew. So that's all for this part. Honestly, it looks really cool. I'm curious what you guys think. And actually, that's all for this video. So thank you guys for watching. Peace.